of how...
Well, a book arrived today that I'd got. It's an out of print book, and I'd ordered it from World Books, which supports little bookstores, and it's like the sort of book Golding wrote. It's his book on wind turbines. Carney's Road closed, so we'll go round this way.
I
Anyway,
have still not learned any of their names.
anyway,
I know the locations. I just have to tell you the way it is, and I will not be able to give you any names.
okay, but anyway, it's his book on wind turbines, which was written in 1955, and he died in 1965, and he was the one that was in charge of getting the wind turbine put up at Costa. That, you know, because I'm trying to focus on the Costa Hill wind turbine. Anyway,
Brittle Cross, perhaps.
yeah. Anyway, so this is his thing, his book, because you know people refer to his work and then they've not actually read it. They've read others who might have read it. Do you know that kind of thing? So I thought, well, I'll have to read the man himself. You know, because it's part of like getting the whole background picture. So it's quite interesting, and you know, in the first bit, like the first page 4, you know what he says? He says, like he sees wind power really important because he saw it as a cheap way of providing electricity,
Yep.
particularly to people who lived in islands.
Yeah.
Right? Now this is in 1955 he's writing this, Christy, but he foresees one of the problems being that, well, storage when a lot of wind power is produced, because when you get, like, any examples at a summer evening and lots of wind being generated, the system can't take it, and some of this power will get wasted. That is still happening today. They turn off the feckin' wind turbines because they can't store it. They've still not done anything about that, and that was in 1955.
Yep. Nearly 70 years.
Yeah, and there he was saying it all. That George Bernard Shaw, even before that, saying harness the tides of Penguin Firth. Anyway, that's what I'll be reading just now. Last night I did a lot of work on it all, like reading up stuff like who the secretaries of state were and things, because you've got to sort of know all the background bits to make sense of it all, to get the whole picture, you know. And typically there's been people that have thought well ahead, you know, that could see it, and others no.
Yes, that was the point of me saying that.
But I just wondered if bollards are just like because of us nowadays, like motor vehicles.
Motor vehicles have been around about 100 years now.
And when was the first bollard? Did somebody must have invented the bollards?
Well, they can take on many forms.
I know that one was particularly funny because
And you've seen some that are just, I mean, you've seen quite a few up here that are just large potted plants. And they look lovely, but then once again you realise they've put them there because people keep parking.
Well, technically they're not bollards.
They serve the same purpose.
Yes, I know, but I'm talking about the actual bollard. As identified as
Well,
such.
until we find a documentary about the fascinating and
I know.
disturbing history of bollards,
That's my
which
next
almost
thing.
certainly exists,
That's my next thing.
and by that I mean it is almost certainly a fascinating thing, because I have learned that the most boring and things that you never really think about often have the most fascinating history.
Do you know, I was telling somebody about shipping containers on
I do that. I always bring that one up because that documentary was just amazing. How the guy who designed it didn't patent it, so everyone would use it as the standardized design, and thus save all shipping massive amounts of time.
Not just shipping, like trains and stuff.
Because otherwise, you'd have, because then if that becomes the standardized design,
Transport.
that's what all the piers will do. And if they didn't, all these different ones would have their own little fiefdoms of designs, and then you'd have to switch them over to each individual design. And you think of how big some of these cargo areas are. Just imagine having to switch that over every time.
Anyway, so I think there'll be a similar thing for bollards. I might look into it yesterday. Well, this morning.
Could be a fun article or a wee book.
Last night and then this morning, because I was resting my ankle that I've severely hurt.
Did you just kind of leap off a chair and then twist it?
No, I went outside with Foxy at 1:30 in the morning. She needed out, and as I stepped down off the bottom, I was half asleep, and as I stepped down off the bottom step, I just stepped awkwardly.
Ah, yeah, that one where your foot goes at an angle and then
Yeah,
it just...
and
Oh,
I
that's
totally fell. I had my phone with me because, well, one, I needed the torch on it, but also it's one of my living nightmares that I fall, particularly in winter, that I fall in the middle of the night outside and I don't have my phone with me, and then 3 days later you discover my frozen body outside my door.
Well, thanks for now adding to my nightmares.
But it's just one of my things. But fortunately I had my phone with me, but that of course went skittering from my hand. But I soon established the ankle wasn't broken. I was worried it might be, sprained or something. Fortunately I'm quite a rubbery, stalwart sort of person. But it was extremely sore, right? And then she didn't even want it. She just had a wee drink of water when we were out there. I don't know what she was fapping about it. Anyway, then we came in and I went to bed and it was excruciatingly sore. So that woke me up quite early. And I made myself a cup of coffee, but came back to bed and I couldn't settle because it was sore. It was bothering me. So I watched yet another YouTube film about the Tennessee Valley
been soaked up by the plants on the top layer. So the ground is probably still pretty dry.
Oh god, yeah.
I mean, it'll get the... A burning smell?
It's not the cars, mate. It'll be something in the air.
Do you smell it, serial killer? Yes, I
I'm
think I
looking
do.
for the turn off because we can easily go past it. It'll be on this side.
Which side? You just said this side.
This side here where my arm is.
Okay.
Although given that my arms are at both sides of me, that's just coming up to it, I think soon.
Some more demons.
Careful, wee bird. Because as usual, the signposting is, you know, on the route, not like a wee bit back, saying you're coming up to your turn.
Newark Bay. I got to a really important part in Monster Hunter's stories too, and I just really wanted to get the flying dragon back. Well, it starts flying when I got to the back.
A particularly spectacular view of the coastline.
For some people, it will be, Mum.
Look, is that somebody up ahead with lights on?
No, they have their lights on. No, they don't have their lights on.
Oh, they're going. That's because they're going. They've not got. That's just their brake lights.
Yeah. I mean, look, you're seeing houses emerging from the mist.
No, they've not got lights on.
No, they do not. And we have them on film. Assuming it works this time.
Oh no, Luke.
Fuck. Apologies for the language. So, turn around.
Why has everybody decided to come here? It's freaking foggy.
Well, I was even parked over there. I don't think you're meant to park there.
That's how sand dunes get eroded.
Yep. Why we can't even walk on them anymore.
Look, I'm going to go in that space there, Christy. And we can just sit for a minute while I have a think.
Mainly because you don't get, well, especially if you don't really get classic Galvatron much. I think the last one was from the movie, well, the live action movie, where then the very next film they just changed it back to Megatron, and I don't like to talk about those ones. Because I'll just go in a rage rant.
Don't get into a rage about your Transformers.
Rodimus, they've done a fair few. I think they did one for, the last one was Power of the Primes. A bunch of people complaining, oh, this shouldn't be commander sized, but because it's just because of the back, and I go, yeah, how else are you going to get the whole thing?
You know, I get sent adverts for electronic Transformers.
They did bring out, you mean the ones that are...
No, not the toys, for actual Transformers.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning. The ones that are like on electricity.
Yes, for it.
Why do you get ads for that?
Well, just because I've gone into Google search and looked up Transformers for something, you know, maybe somebody's present or something.
You'd think they'd check what you're clicking on. Because if you're clicking on Optimus Prime, they know not that kind of Transformer.
Makes a change from funeral plans.
You do watch the channel that has a whole bunch of adverts about
They're on
incontinence.
they're on everyone.
Good point, I don't actually watch TV anymore.
I hardly watch it now anyway.
It's just Netflix, Crunchyroll, DVDs, video games. I don't actually use my TV for watching TV channels.
I was too busy last night reading and researching.
I'm not even bothering to look up what this new trailer for Doctor Who is because I'm just so sickened by what that's become.
Oh, don't start a rant about Doctor
I'm avoiding
Who.
that, I'm just using it as an example.